5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm live.
I think people really know the true hypnotic power of television. You know how it pulls us in and just keeps telling us to consume, buy, and tells us to hate each other and separates us and causes the greatest divides, all under the name of entertainment. And every time I turn on my TV, it's just like no surprise. It's all of those programs and they're pushing out lies. And then between there's the adverts and they do it again and they're trying to convince us all friends. And they have us trained like good little soldiers. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hi, I'm the OBG. Oh yeah, right. I'm eating yogurt with a fork. And the reason for that is that I posted on Facebook recently about eating yogurt with a fork. And, excuse me. The whole idea behind it was just to say that, you know, we make these rules and, well, they become kind of rules, unwritten. There's no rule about eating yogurt with a spoon, really. But we eat yogurt with a spoon because it's convenient and it's likely one of the best tools. But if you want to do something different sometimes, just do it, just for the sake of it. And the whole idea about that is just to say that there's so many things in the world that we have the benefit of because people stepped outside of their box. People broke the rules. People went against, you know, all of the opposition. And in doing so, they made lots of mistakes. But some of them may change. And that's why I'm going to continue doing what I do. Stick with me. I'm the OBG. Hi, I'm the OBG. I couldn't do a show yesterday. I haven't actually promised I'm going to do a show every Sunday, but I tend to go out on Sunday when people are a bit more chilled and, you know, they're willing to give a little time to the live show. So I'm doing this today, and hopefully you can enjoy it. I'm going to give a little bit more effort to the comments. If you do want to comment, then I can reply. And we can take it from there. So today's the angry edition. I just thought I'd do an angry show. I'm not really angry. It's about anger and people being angry. I kind of plateaued a while ago, in all honesty, and I find it really, really hard to be angry. And then I can write an angry statement. Let me talk about Facebook for a minute. Sometimes I go on and I write stuff to people, and then it turns into an argument, and it looks like I'm angry. And I'm not defending it. If I'm angry, I'm angry. It happens. And I don't think you should always hold it back or at all. In fact, I let that shit out. But what I mean is, you know, I say something to someone and you have to go 10 stages with someone before they even admit or even think that what they're doing is causing you some kind of offence. You know, people post on the wall on Facebook sometimes. For instance, last week, and I say to someone, why don't you ever say something nice? And that's the tone I say it in as I'm writing. Obviously, you can't know that from the writing, but immediate response is, oh God, you're just so sensitive. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm sensitive to this issue, which is why I'm bringing it up, otherwise I wouldn't. But let's not point out my, you know, current state of mind. I am asking you a question. Why don't you ever post something nice? I don't need to be analysed about my questioning right now. You felt free to go ahead and post it, and now I'm challenging you because you've taken the time to think and then type out a sentence about me or something I said. I'm asking you why you feel the need to do that. Just answer me. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want you to hold a mirror up to me so that, and try and reflect what I'm imparting to you back at me. It's a simple question, and this isn't anger in itself. This is causes anger. So I'm saying to those people, listen, I've been consistent in your life for 12 years, mate, you know? And there's no denying that. It's about me having a big head about who I am and what I do, but I know I've been consistent for 12 years. And every now and then, you who follow me around, and I do some checking, I'm a reductionist, I'm a hacker. I have to see how things are working. And I'm like, when you post on my wall, you get 5 or 6 likes. When you post on your wall, you get 1 or nobody. And I've just looked at your last 5 posts, and you've got 2 likes there, 1 like there. Like, you get more noticed by coming onto my wall. And I think that's what's driving your behaviour, and I find that quite annoying, that's all. Now, I don't get mad and angry about it, and I don't unfriend you either, because typically we've got good relationships. But I'm thinking there must be a better way to do what you're doing, and what's driving you? What are you thinking? Do you sit there and think like, how can I write something on this guy's wall? I know, because I've got a theory, and that is that we don't think negative thoughts first. Negative thoughts require a lot more planning, a lot more time, and we're likely as humans to think positive thoughts first. Whether, even if you're in a fight or flee situation, you're like, wow, I've got to escape from here to somewhere good. You're thinking positive thoughts. You're not like, oh shit, I'm going to do something here to this person. You're thinking of good, positive ways to get away. If you see someone post on a wall something like, oh, today I had jelly and ice cream. Oh yeah, great. And you say something positive. You see someone post on their wall like me, for instance, something really innocent. And then you write, oh yeah, and then you write something negative, and it's like, what drove you to that state? What put you in that state of mind on a post that wasn't negative? And then it makes me feel like you're targeting me, and I know that's not the actual fact, but that's how I feel sometimes. It's that you need work done, you need help, because you're commenting on a hell of a lot of my posts, and it's negative, and it's like, what's driving you? What's driving you to go to someone's wall on Facebook and type something negative in, and then you throw it back at me and tell me I'm being sensitive? Of course I'm going to be sensitive to that after a while, and it's not about you. Don't think that you'll get one up on me, but I'm a popular guy and I've got several accounts in several countries and so on, and I'm doing what I do, and sometimes you get like 10 in a day, and you may have been the 10th person, so I'll bite at you. Anyway, that's that one. Be nice. Rant number 2. Prince Andrew. What's that all about? I needn't say what it's all about. It's about a fully grown man, son of the Queen, Prince, Duke of York, fucking underage girls. It's that simple. And this has gone on historically. I don't know what anyone really expects here. He is the Duke of York. What's going to happen to him? He is the son of the Queen of England, the biggest, corruptest empire in the world. Who's going to do anything about it? Now, the thing is, there are victims here. There's no doubt about that. And I hear people saying, like, oh, they take the money and so on. It's like, well, they didn't do it for the money. The money's a compensation. And life's so tough anyway that even if something like that did happen to you, then you may as well just take the money afterwards rather than being your regular 9-to-5 slave taxpayer. If someone says 50,000, 100, 200,000 pounds to be quiet, then you have to understand these are regular people. They're going to take it. It takes a really, really special person to stand up in court, or even just to go to a police station to speak about any kind of ordeal that they've been through, any rape that they've been through, especially when you know it's some of the most powerful people in the world, and you're not going to win anything anyway. It's best that they try to do damage control and said to you, and they don't need to, because they can off you as they have done historically, but they say to you, here's 50,000, 100 or 200,000 pounds, take the damn money. It's never going to heal the pain. It's not going to make it go away. People are going to think badly of you for taking money, but take the damn money. It's that simple. But this goes back to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, who was like the Lord and Master, who run this island, little haven for paedophiles to go to. And Prince Andrew was a regular visitor there. He went to Epstein's home, and he's put up all his denials, and suddenly he's got this really extremely bad memory and can't remember the details. And he also says that he doesn't like having public shows of affection. And there's all these photos of him, with these young women. Now, don't judge me on this. Listen to this part twice. Men are not only to blame. For underage sex, yes. And once again, that depends where. And I'm not defending it. I'm just saying, if a state's got an underage sexual of 21, and you sleep with a 20-year-old, come on. But we're not really grown up until 25 in these modern countries. We're nannied by the state, and we often don't have to go out and do any real physical work until at least 16 or 18, and we're just not equipped for adult life. So these people are still kind of young in mind and spirit. And what I'm trying to say here is, if a 45-year-old man wants to sleep with a 21-year-old woman, that's no one's business. She's 21. Now, let me just put this forwards as well. If I said to you, oh, that she's a silly girl, then I hear crazy women or women going crazy saying, like, she's a woman, she's old enough, she can do what she wants. But as soon as she decides to sleep with a man who's 45, suddenly the man's out of order and the man's doing wrong. I don't get that. That's just another angry thing I want to talk about. But in this case, it's a clear-cut case of ring, a very high-level ring of paedophiles operating that were procuring young girls, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell, in fact, the son of Robert Maxwell. They're all connected, and she was the one who was bringing the young girls to the place, and she suddenly disappeared off the map. No one's questioning her, no police or nothing. If a friend of mine stole a bike and I was even near him at the time, the police would raid my house. That's a guarantee. And here's this woman who's been named by victims, and yet nothing has happened to them. In fact, I think they're closing the case. Don't quote me on that. But Prince Andrew apparently made a right fool of himself. I didn't watch the video, and I'm not going to. I can't be bothered. All I'm going to do is watch a liar. Whether he'd done it successfully or not, there's a man who's going to be telling lies. The feedback that I get is from my friends on Facebook in the main, and maybe some YouTube videos I may take the time to watch. But even then, I won't. I can't be watching a while. What's the point of watching these people? It's like going to the theatre and watching a shitty play over and over again. I'd rather hear my well-informed friends with their good opinions putting forward some of their ideas, and I'll take it from there. So yeah, Prince Andrew, fix up, mate. Okay, rant number 3. What's the point of having kids? I really don't get it. Yeah, I've got kids, I know that, but I didn't want them. Sorry, kids, I mean, like, your hair now. But what I mean is, if I really had a choice, I wouldn't. And people shouldn't. I just don't see what it is. It's like we're some kind of wild human animal just running around breeding. And in the West, we do talk about not having kids, and we always point to the poorer countries and say they shouldn't be having kids, when in fact they should be having more kids because their infant mortality rate is so damn high. I mean, I'm not going to point at any one person in particular, but from what I see, people have this offspring, they tug it around, annoyed half the time, and then they send them into a kindergarten like age 4. 7's a good age to start school, actually, like they do in Sweden. You know, stay with the parents for 7 years, and after that, you've taken in all that, you know, like close, like parental, maternal or paternal love. Then you can be separated. But I think the system's got it worked out perfectly. They separate you at 5 years old. So you go to a school and they start indoctrinating you straight away. The first thing they show you often is a globe of the world. And then after that, everything else just lies. Every country does it, you know, as part of the IMF, as part of this big, fat, you know, like keep people under control scheme. And then they show you the history of your country, which is often just some made-up shit, because they talk about all the victories that you had over other countries and glamorise it all. But apart from that, anyway, the kids just grow up, and then you just send them to school every day. I mean, if you're building a kid to be a champion, like you had a kid, like back in the days, you was a blimmin' ironmonger, blacksmith, and then you had a son because you wanted someone to continue the business or some assistance, and that kid could start working with you at like 9 years old. You know, when I was in Nicaragua, the guy who had the shop 2 away from me, he had 3 sons, and they were skilled. I mean, the youngest son, I posted some videos on Facebook, that little kid who I was always boxing with, he was 7 years old, and that kid's job in the main, he done like some of the more menial tasks. He'd be taking the staples out of it. He was the man was an upholsterer, so this kid would be taking the staples out of the seats and that. And then after they, his dad constructed a sofa with the eldest son, who was like 14, and the middle son, then this young kid they'd pull and stretch, and he'd be stapling the material to the, you know, to the frames and so on. And if you saw that as an English person, or a European in fact, you know, you'd be having a heart attack saying, you know, that this is wrong. But it's no, that's a family. The family's got to survive. And that kid, by the time he's like 12, 13 years old, he's going to have a skill. And they went to school as well. You know, they was getting their education. But people aren't raising their kids to do that in the UK. 16 years of your life before you even consider starting work. and it's not even lawful to work, or illegal, should I say, to work under 16 in the UK. And if you do, it's very special hours and very special jobs and so on. But instead of raising these kids to be skilled and to work, people just have a kid, and then when the kid's 16, as I said, they go out, they get their national insurance number, and then when they start paying tax at 16 actually. And then some of them go to college, leave at 18 and go straight into work, or 21, 22 if they've gone to university, which means they're none the wiser. They just know more about how the system works at a higher level, then they can go and work in the higher level system jobs. Very few kids take it upon themselves to go to university because they're these unique beings and they just want to feel for what if they can find a good teacher, get the higher level of education around that subject. But most people who say, I went to university and done really well, those people are really self-determined and they learn a lot by themselves anyway. I was one of those people. So kids, why have them? You're just going to send this thing just grows up, annoys you, and then you send them off to school, wait to get rid of them once they hit 18, 21, and then they just become taxpayers and have a life of misery. And I'm not talking about all kids, because I will say once again, here we go, when I look at the working class, the people who we target the most for making fun of in the media and television and so on, those people have purpose, because when you're at the bottom, all you want to do is keep on rising. So they work and work and work and work. And not everyone's a rebel. You know, some of those people, they just accept life. They're just regular kids. They get up and they toil and toil and toil. And I look at them sometimes and I think, wow, you know, that person was born, went to school, went to work at 16, had a paper round at 12 or 13, done some other work, was always working anyway, because it's the ethic of their family. Their family's just always working in order to survive. And then they go to work and they just work and work. And they do well. I've met many, you know, working class people. By the time they're in their like mid-30s, you know, well into paying their mortgage, and, you know, they've got a house and so on, and flat, and they're just living the life. And as much as I don't want to do that and complain against it, I don't really complain against other people who do it. It's like, do what they want. But why are we having and raising kids just to go to school, to go to work, to pay tax, then retire at 70, I think it's going to be someday soon, and then die? If you're going to have a kid, for God's sake, raise that kid to, you know, be a champion. Say, right, I want a champion boxer, a champion sprinter, a champion architect. I want a rebel. I want someone who's going to break down this system, a warrior. And then it always seems worthy. But we're not doing that. And even worse, our kids are all separated. There's no community anymore. The kids are just like told to be, you're a single unit, you're the most special thing in the world. And for those kids who suffer or think they're suffering, let's talk about the middle classes for a moment. Those kids have everything handed to them on a plate. They grow up. I've talked to middle class kids who say, like, oh, you know, we were poor, like we were the poor ones in our neighbourhood. I remember we had our dad's car was like 5 years old. You had a car. But they're soft, those kids, those middle class kids. They're really, really soft. I mean, they just break for everything. They're the ones who all the new illnesses are invented for. Working class kid, oh, I can't work today, I've got a cold. Get your ass out of the house. You get out and you go to work, you know. The people around you, you know, your peers and so on, exactly the same. You can't skive. You're working class, you know. You've got to be solid. You've got to be hard. And some people may say that's cruel, but the world's like that. The world's cruel. Middle class kids, they just, all those illnesses with 14 letters, those Latin names, some of the new shorter ones, the acronyms, they're made for those people. And when they leave work, they just go and work in offices anyway. I don't know any middle class kids who said, I want to be a labourer, you know, or like work on a building site, or be a carpenter. Okay, there's many carpenters, I'll give you that one. But, you know, they're the soft kids. And, you know, they're just raised for that, to fill in that middle boring section and pay taxes as well. So we're all people after all. We all suffer in some way. But for God's sake, middle classes, sort yourself out. Anyway, this isn't about the middle class. This is about kids in general and why people are having them. So, like, just stop punting them out. It's not like we're overpopulated. That's another myth put around by the controlling people that be. But what purpose does it serve to have a kid if they're just going to grow up, go to school, go to college, university, work, pay taxes, have 4 weeks holiday, 2 weeks in the States, I found North and South America, per year, and then die? Okay, this was not so much an angry, like mad post, but it's just one of confusion more than anything. It's about hope. Now, we all use the term hope, I hope this works out well, I hope you have a good time and so on. Hope, hope, hope. About wishing well for something in the future, or in a negative way for something that isn't. And hope's got quite a history of where it comes from or how we perceive it. And a lot of that comes from like Greek mythology. So it was hope that was left in Pandora's box. And not many people know this. In fact, it's not even a box, it was a jar. But Hesiod first used the term box. So it was gifted to Pandora, whose name means all gifts, by Zeus. And he done it as an act of retribution because Prometheus gave man fire. And he willed Pandora to open it and let all the ills out into the world. But he also willed her to close it again. And in doing so, hope was left in the box. And this has been a subject of controversy or confusion for scholars over the years. And just as two examples, Nietzsche, he says that hope is the worst of evils. It prolongs the torment of men. But for instance, Russia has saying is hope dies last, which gives meaning to it, such as when everything else is lost, then all we have left is hope. And Hesiod, who referred to it as a box rather than a jar, some claim that he's actually referring to women as the root of all evil, because, as he says, she would hurt the man with her beauty and lies, and he also said, from her is a descent of female women, a great pain for mortals, living with men, companions not of destructive poverty, but of plenty. Make what you will of that. So the word that Hesiod uses for hope is elpis, and that can also mean expectation. And Verdanius states that elpis may actually be regarded either as good or bad, and that the hope in Pandora's box has potential for either.
Baby, I want you to know.
Okay, anger. It's good to be angry. It's good to let it out sometimes. I think I mentioned this in a previous show, but just to go over some of it again. Anger's good. Anger's an emotion. Anger's a release, and it's something that you have to do. For those of you who live in your hippie lives saying that you're never going to be angry, you're probably the most dangerous people. You're angry inside. You hold that in all the time, and when you do flip, you really do flip, and it manifests and it shows itself. Now, you can dissipate your anger, you can let it out, channel it in many, many ways. But at the same time, if you don't ever express your anger, then it's almost like you're hiding something, you're hiding yourself. It's a very natural emotion, like jealousy, like love, all those things that you claim are natural, yet hide from anger. So, if ever you're angry about something, express it. Exclaim, use like a swear word. Move your body. Do something, but let it out. Otherwise, it just builds up and it gets worse. Now, it's good to be angry sometimes. Just to let it out, because sometimes we find it hard to communicate with people. And I'm not talking about beating your spouse up or your work colleagues or your friends and so on, but you've never heard someone speak the truth like an angry person, and we all know that. We've experienced it, or even like exhibited that behavior. And sometimes you just need to do it. It's the only way that you're going to ever express something to someone, and there are different ways, but I can't really say which one's better. Sometimes you've just got to let that out. You're on fire inside, and you point that finger and you tell somebody exactly what you think, and then breathe. But also, there's anger management, and this is why sometimes we have to learn to control that, but not every time. You can't just fly off at someone every time and say it's your right to be angry, or you just want to express your emotions all the time, because there's other emotions that you hold back on, and you do that to save face, you do that as a matter of etiquette, you do it just because you can. Someone says to you like, well, Mr. Robinson, you've got the job, you're successful, and you shake their hand, thank you very much, you leave. When you get home, like, you tell everyone else, but you don't express that in front of the person, and yet you're this person who claims that you always express your feelings. You know there are rules. So it's the same with anger. If you are angry, you don't always have to express it. You can hold that down, just like you held down the congratulatory news about you getting that job. You can hold that down, and you may say, no, but this one's a stronger feeling than the other, and believe you me, they're not. They're the same, exactly the same. It's like triggering off an emotion at a level, and it's like your brain saying, right, this one's happy and this one's angry, and there's no difference. So if you do get angry, think about the time you got the job, or you succeeded, or you won something, you couldn't quite express yourself there and then, and you managed to hold that in for all that time, you know, letting it go off and coming out in little bits. You're on the way home on that train, can't wait to tell your partner about the fact that you've got the job, or you can't wait to tell your parents or your friends, and a complete stranger walks past and looks at you, and you give them a smile, and knowing like I was successful today, and you let it out a little bit. And it's the same with the anger. You don't have to direct it at someone, because anger is often considered negative. So it's not about letting it out in the same way as the success, but let it out, walk a little faster, go for a run or something, and let that anger out, channel it in another way, and you find that the anger does dissipate and there was no negative outcome. So that's anger. Practice and practice and practice. It's all right. I just do this on the fly. You can't blame me. What should I do next? Okay, well, that's about it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. I did the show today, Monday, instead of Sunday. I will try to get back to the old format of doing one show in the week and one on a Sunday, but due to unforeseen circumstances. In fact, let me just share that with you. I took all of my entire studio into another room, into the spare room, set everything up, and I realised I haven't got a lead long enough to run the internet into there. So I had to bring it all back out and set it up, and it set me back quite a bit. And mentally, I just wasn't prepared to do it for once, so I couldn't. Well, it wasn't even that. It was mostly a question of time. So do tune in again in the week. I'll put something up on Facebook. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you click the little bell, then you'll get notifications when a new show goes live. Thanks for watching. I'm the OBG.
And every time I turn on my TV, it's just like no surprise. It's all of those programs and then pushing out lies. And in between there's the adverts, and they do it again, and they're trying to convince us that we're friends. And then there's a trailer.